like, did it even like start recording? I don't even think it started recording. Oh, I was talking, I said, I feel like I'm trying to prove who I am to people to try to get them to hate me less. I'm like, is it just like, so it's not identity, is it actions? Past failed actions or something? Like, I don't know. It's just weird, honestly, to have to like even be like on my own like this much, even though I'm like, or like have to like constantly just have to like accept like new facts. Oh my god, I broke it. I broke the mirror. That's bad luck. Just throw it away. But yeah, it's just kind of like that. It's like just like a weird like, it's like okay, it's just like, I don't know, people, it's like people just want to keep me in one place, or just it's not even like accountability, but it's like resentment. It's like resenting that person and then using whatever you can to keep them in like one place or something, or like having like one person constantly like, it's just like, oh my god, like you're gonna have, like, I'm not a child, like I'm not a child, like biologically speaking, I'm not a child. So that's like frustrating to whatever young adult you do that to treat them like a child, even if you feel like they're behaving younger than they should. And like in my head, I'm like, I literally see people who don't have to grow up to like a certain degree, like online or like in different places, and it's like, well, why do I don't think I need to be like behave like someone like in your age group. So it's like, am I just like taking the place of a whole new like person or something? That's literally just like how I like see it. But yeah, and it's just also, it's like, well, it feels like I'm not as likable because I'm not younger, and like values just like kind of shifted as well. So I'm like, where is like the angst? Like there's no angst, or like the grit, like, or something. Like there's no angst, there's no grit, there's no like questions. It's just almost like people are just like content and where they are in like a strange way. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely more freedom of like creativity, but like not a lot of resources to share, to spread about or whatever. So there's that. But yeah, I don't know. I just think with me, it's just like, well, what do I, like, I'm just literally gonna start like spiritually bypassing or something, or getting really involved in something that like I was passionate about like in the past, since I'm like, I feel honestly like a mouse in a wooden labyrinth. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't make the labyrinth, so like, can you get the person in charge of the labyrinth to like remove some walls or something? This is getting frustrating. And also, it's like, this labyrinth is not meant for me to get to the center of, or even to like escape in a weird way. Yeah, it's just weird. So I just thought I would like, it would be like, I don't know, like some parts of it was like different, other parts like weren't. And like in my head, I'm like, well, they should just give it to me. They should just give me things. Like people who have opportunities should just give that opportunity. I don't have to like jump through like so many hoops. Like why do I need to jump through so many hoops for like a basic thing? Like that's really like frustrating to the person you do that to. But like I mean like it's understandable. Like I get that. But at the same time, it's literally like, why can't you just like, I don't know, like why does it? It's like war flashbacks. It's not even like war flashbacks. It's just like, it's like even though it's like that situation was bad, and you know, I feel like everyone just like likes to feel important. And now I feel like I'm doing like the opposite. I'm like that like a little bit. I'm like okay. But I don't know if these people who like have like might want women who are of a certain attraction level to have like babies for like the economy or something. Or okay, I really, you know, I just like at some points it's like you have to understand like certain like boundaries, even though I guess like some things just get kind of like thrown up in air. But TikTok is wearing me. It's like wearing me thin. Like they're just like a lot. There's so much. Like I don't know. But on YouTube, I feel like on YouTube it's a little better. I remember being like really. I was really into YouTube, so I didn't really have like many like friends in my immediate like community. So I would watch like a lot of YouTubers from like 2012 for like the past 10 years. I've been like that. So and then I was like looking at photos of myself from like 10 years ago. I'm like 2012 was like 10 years ago. And now that 10-year point is almost over. So then like what happens? I'm like, is it just like the end of the cycle? Is it just like a waiting game? Am I just like it feels like a sitting duck in like some way? So I don't know. And then it's just like, well, like it's just like it's just like weird. Cause I feel like a lot of people like maybe like my age or even younger are just used to like having like a lot of like different hobbies. And maybe having like a certain type of like intensity of all those different hobbies, and then it's like, oh, choose like one thing you have to do first, or like for like a career, right? And then it's just like what? So then yeah, and then it's just like people are really just like also really focused on my degree. And I'm like, oh, well, that's just like the degree I like ended with, because like my college experience was like super weird. So like I don't really see it as like like my defining self or something. It's rather as being like the basis of like who I am. So like I don't know. Yeah, I did see it as that as well. I don't know. I just like I feel like I don't know if like just like my priorities have changed, or if I'm like less selfish about like where I want to go. But like I don't like I just like don't like even know, like this stuff just gets like really like too much. Cause it's like I didn't know like that much. I didn't really know anything from like 16. I think maybe I did, but like, you know, it's like the suspension of disbelief, like in theater, like suspension, disbelief when you're like sitting in a theater watching a movie and you don't think about how you're watching a movie, you just let yourself be like immersed in the experience. So it just feels like that, and I'm like, oh no, I want to go back to thinking like I'm just like, so it's just like frustrating. But you know, at some point I was getting like, I remember like getting tired of like not knowing anything, like getting super tired of like not knowing anything and not knowing where to like cipher out what information and how to like decipher it or something. I felt like that ended there. I didn't feel like I messed people up. I feel like people just like dispersed. It was like that. It wasn't like, it was like if that makes sense. So it's not like people were like, it was like, like, it was just everyone went all over the place. So like the place just like exploded. I don't know, like, I'm like, well, it's like, it's hard to plan like long term when like your immediate needs are like constantly questioned, and it's like, well, I need to be around people who are like, that was a constant thing in college. I was like, I don't feel like I'm around people who are like me. I don't feel like I'm around people who are like me. I don't feel like I'm around people who are like me. Like over and over again, I felt like that constant, like, where do I go? Where do I go? What do I do? What do I do? And then even now it just feels like, well, I'm never gonna be like, I'm never gonna be like the people I wanted to be like. So just like, how am I gonna find those people? Like, just like when it comes to like straight up just like, you know, it's just like, oh, okay, there's not just so much like conflict, and it's just like really frustrating. And I'm like, I don't really, like, for a while I'm like, is it because like a different like we think differently, different thinking patterns? I'm like, I just like don't really know. And I'm just like, right now it's like definitely like a huge like stick, I don't know, like sticking out, like, oh my god, to where it's like, what am I? Who am I? And I'm like, I'm so tired of these like questions that I got like phased out. And then I'm just like, well, I know what I am, but a lot of people don't want to like believe what I am. They're just like, no, we're gonna make you into something like so much worse. And then I'm like, well, I'm not that. So like, I was never socially conditioned to be that for the last like 23 years of my life. So like, why would I just like naturally become that from like trauma or like abuse, or like wanting to conform to like an environment? Like, that makes like no sense. Yeah, but not, this is like the 21st century. Like, this is 21st century. Not everyone's going to act how you think they're going to act, or think how you want them to think according to their ethnicity or race, right? So, or like whatever like predetermined history there was, or whatever historical pattern, not everyone's gonna act according to that, even if it might benefit like certain like politics that might like affect them. It's literally not everyone's like that. And I think maybe like the older you get, you can start siding with people or something. For me, it was like I was always siding with people my own age. Like, I still side with people like my own age, or people who are like a few years older than me. Yeah, but the people who are like the same age as me, I don't know. It's like people, I'm like, what other 23-year-olds do I know who are like the exact same age as me? So it's just like, who have had like the same exact like life experience, and then I just feel like a major like fuck up, honestly. I literally just feel like a huge fuck up. So I just like don't even know like what to do. And people just constantly think that I'm like adhering to this like weird like ideology that's like prescribed to like the region I'm from. And I'm just like, no, not really. I just like, you know, it's like Legend of Zelda. It's like, I left the village, but like go somewhere better. So I felt like I was better than the village. But then like I don't really want to destroy the village. Like the village just be the village, right? So then there's no like total anarchy. That's like literally like what I think. And then I'm like, oh, I want something crazy to happen all over again. And then right now I'm like, no, I don't want anything ever crazy to happen ever again. Like, and that like type of like capacity, if that makes sense. To where I'm just like, it's just like no safety, like no rules, no protection. I'm like, that's just like not good, I feel like, for people. I don't know. And then there's just like, it's just like annoying. I'm tired about talking about race like so constantly. Like, it's just like a little frustrating, because I'm not gonna have the same like perspective on race as like someone in my family. If I'm more educated than them, or I've had like more relationships with people who are of color, Black, or like POC, or like African American, like it's gonna be like different than how I view things. And it almost feels like traitorous to like whoever like maybe to like modernize like like postmodern politics to just think in like black and white terms, honestly. Yeah, I'm just like, well, I don't really, it's just frustrating. This isn't the only place similar. This reminds me a lot of the Bushwick the apartment in Bushwick, Brooklyn. It reminds me a lot of that. But except I don't have roommates. It's my only time living alone without like someone immediately like living in a room next to me or something. So I'm just like, I'm used to having like so many roommates and then them like trying to take control of me, and I'm just like, like literally you have like so many bad roommates and then they don't cede control, and it's just like, oh my god. And then I'm just like, I feel like I'm getting out of like a depression. I feel like a little bit more like myself. Like I was like super depressed since like August. I'm like it's not August, it's December. And then I just literally like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm not in control, or I'm not like being like, I feel like I'm not like overseeing much. I'm just like just searching for connection at this point to where it's not completely hostile or like demeaning or like dehumanizing, honestly. So then I'm just like constantly looking for people I can like not even like relate to, it's just like connect with on some kind of frequency that's like literally like being so missed. So it's just like there's like so much of that. I don't know. And then I just like, I feel like I get wrapped up like a lot in internet culture until something happens, and then it's like, like sometimes I just feel like, I don't know, certain platforms just like don't want certain kinds of people on there, and it's just like, okay, I don't know, it's just like also like I feel like the way I look is very different from how I experience my life, if that makes sense. Like how I like see things, or like how I'm like experiencing like time and space is like different than like how you would expect someone who has like this human body would. I don't know if it's like depersonalization. No, it's not. But yeah, and then like 23, I was like, when I was 21 and I was the other 23-year-olds, I'm like, I don't want to fucking be 23. I don't want to be 23 because you guys look miserable, and like you're coming to terms with something, and with who you are. And then I'm like, well, I still want like infinite potential for forever. Like I don't want to be like set in something that like makes me like a certain way, honestly. So it's just like, that's like incredibly like frustrating to have to be around people who are constantly like setting you back or pushing you down, or not letting you become the person you need to be for like yourself, and like for a positive outcome. So there's a lot of that, honestly. But I don't know, I'm so tired about talking about race and nationality. Like I'm just like, shut up. Like why I like not even like talking about like other people's, but like mine specifically. I'm like, why do you care like so much? Like why do you, it's like not even like you're interacting with a person who resides inside of me. It's like you're just like seeing me as that, and I'm just like, okay, cool. That doesn't make me like you. Like, don't you, when you want to be in like a relationship with someone, don't you have to like get them to like you first, and not have them like resent you, and not like force them? Like, what's so like difficult about that? Like, I just like really feel like I'm around like people who are not very spiritual and very low vibrational, and not very understanding, and not giving me the space that I need to grow and flourish. So I'm just like, this is just so frustrating. So I just, it's like politics, like things are constantly like bound to change. Like they're just like constantly like bound to change. And then when they do change, then it means you don't have to do something anymore. And that's usually like how like it's like that's the great thing about like politics. People talking about issues. I mean, talking about like identity or like macro events is that usually people will do something about that, right? So then it's like fixed in some capacity, or there's like some like equilibrium or harmony that's like established to where people can like have like more of like a level playing field, if that makes sense. But I don't know. I'm just like so exhausted. I don't think having like one set identity or race means you're gonna be accepting of every person who comes your way. Or like the most tolerable or like tolerating someone. I honestly, for me, I'm like, is it just like that? I'm like, is it like how smart someone is? Is it like regional stereotype? Like I don't like, I'm just like so frustrated. I'm like, is it like my gender identity? Is it like my sexuality? And it's just like, I'm like, what mold am I not conforming to? And I see like other people who are like white women, like white women who are in their like, who are middle-aged, who are like married and like I have kids walking around. I'm like, I'm not like you, because I don't have like 3 of those things, but I'm just like the same race as you and like sex, right? So I'm not the same. We're not the same. Who might have like brunette hair, but then they don't have like light colored eyes. You think it wouldn't be an issue, but like people who are like white Americans, and they're brunette and they might have like brown eyes, they will be really jealous of you if you have like light colored eyes or like gray, blue, green, or whatever, or like hazel. And then it's like that's like something to separate you from them. So it's like that. It's like I don't even know if it's just like being like just like I don't know. I was just like, the reason why I came down here is just I was really worried. Cause I still care about I wasn't allowed to go back to Atlanta after like fun college time right out of high school. They were like, no, rating depressing, so go somewhere else. Like I just felt like that vibe from like the people I knew who I left behind there when I transferred like colleges. So I was like, no. Or like I was like, okay, I'll go somewhere else. I'll just leave the fucking state. Honestly, if I keep just like pissing people off.